All right, time for us now to have our conversation right here. And Brian MWITHI is Careers Without Borders CEO, and we're going to talk about how, strategies to use to secure jobs remotely. Thank you very much, Brian, for joining us.
Thank you so much, John, for having me.
Absolutely. Let's begin, because when we talk about remote jobs, people may not be able to, first of all, to decode, what remote jobs are. What are they?
Okay. So remote jobs are the jobs that people do at the safety and comfort of their homes. So it's any normal job in HR, in communications, in from finance, accountants, people in tech. So it's jobs that you do at the comfort of your home. Yeah, so there's so many companies out there who do not have offices, and they have staff who work completely from home. So that is what a remote job is, and not to be confused with remote gigs, which are the ones you get on websites like Remotask or Transcription. So these ones, you have meetings, you have a team, so it's just a normal job, but you do it from home. Yeah.
Let's talk about, the form of employment. Is it an employment? Is it there's an engagement and there's an employment.
Yeah.
So is it an employment? When you talk about remote jobs, you're talking about employment or engagement?
So a remote job is an employment. It's not like the transcription thing where you just have a website and you have an account and then you do it. This is an employment with a contract for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It's an employment thing with benefits, with salaries, and with days off, leaves, sick days, just like a normal job, just that you do it from the comfort of your home. And you might be working for a company in the US, in the UK, it doesn't matter, but it's just a normal job. Yeah.
For this employer who is looking for somebody to work remotely, what kind of skills or qualifications are they looking for? Because I could be a HR practitioner, probably out of experience. That is, I'm not in the formal channel really of being a PR practitioner, but probably through practicing here I can be, somebody who's practicing HR. But are there specific skills or qualifications that probably an employer will be looking out for, other than just the experience of I've done this?
Yeah, so obviously there's spaces where it's easier to get a remote job. Like if you're in tech, it's easier to get a remote job as a software engineer and stuff like that. But for HR or a PR or a communications manager, the first thing that you'd have to have is like proof of the work that you've done. And then once you have that, then you'd have to now have the digital skills. So you must be able to use stuff like Google Meet, Zoom, Teams, all of that. You also have to be able to use stuff like Asana and Trello for project management. You're supposed to be able and good at using Slack for communicating with the team.
What is Slack?
So it's just like a WhatsApp, but now for business only.
Okay.
So you're in the group with your team, and the manager says we need to do this, and then people see it, and then once it's done, it's said, oh, we're done. So it's just tools that are there that you need to familiarize yourself with. There's so many videos on YouTube that you can use to teach yourself on how to use them also. So it's very easy to get into.
Most of the job seekers probably, are looking for a job that is readily available probably in the Kenyan market.
Yeah.
But for these remote jobs that you're making reference to, how does one search these opportunities?
Okay. So there's specific websites that you're supposed to use.
Okay.
I think the best ones that I've seen are definitely LinkedIn, Indeed, and you just put on the remote filter. But there's also specific ones for remote jobs like Flex Jobs. There's WeWorkRemotely.com. There's Beyond the Savannah in Kenya. And there's also a lot more that you can find. But it's not about looking for them. The main thing is about knowing what type of remote job you're supposed to apply for and how to go about it. Yeah.
So how do you verify these opportunities?
Okay.
Because it's easy to go to LinkedIn, like you're saying, or any other website that provides these remote jobs. But there's the small aspect of verification that indeed these jobs do exist. And while at it, that you do not just become a labor machine, so that even the rates from which you're negotiating are probably favorable or are what you ought to be paid for the job you're doing.
Yeah. I think when it comes to remote jobs, because the opportunities are so good and they pay so well, there's obviously people who've infiltrated the pool and post a lot of fake jobs. So you need a lot of training to be able to understand, okay, this is a legit one and this is not a legit one. But the easiest way to know it's not legit is if they ask you for money. If they ask you for payment for a certification, for a course, or to open a bank account, or to open anything, those ones are scammers. Yeah, but there's ways that we train people on how to identify the real ones from the fake ones, so that you also don't waste your time applying for fake jobs. Yeah.
For somebody, applying for a remote job, what are the major mistakes a remote job applicant would make? What is that one mistake or two one would make applying for a remote job that would obviously rule you out of the opportunity you're seeking?
Okay. So the first thing and the most important thing when you're applying for these jobs is you have to have an ATS CV. So No, ATS. So it stands for Applicant Tracking System. Okay. That is a system big companies use to filter out resumes.
Oh, I thought it was 8 years.
No, yeah. So an ATS CV is a CV that is readable by that system. So what that means is, because it's an AI reading it and it's not a human, the CV should not have any type of graphics, any types of photos. It should be like very plain, just text on a paper. So once you have that CV, the other biggest mistake most people make is not tailoring it to the specific job description that they're going for. So for example, if you're applying to work for my company, we use a lot of Google Meet, WhatsApp Business, we use a lot of AI also, we use a lot of Google Docs, stuff like that. So in my ATS system, I'll set it in a way that anyone who does not put those keywords in their CV is automatically rejected by the system. So we will never get to see your CV. Yeah. So the main goal is to have a CV that's readable by the AI, and then make sure to tailor it to the specific job description when applying for roles. Yeah.
Talk about the importance of polishing your CV. Because there was a discussion just the other day about how irrelevant some CVs normally are, where you're indicating some very irrelevant stuff. Talk about polishing a CV when you're applying for these jobs, particularly the ones that you're saying it is an AI-generated system that really is going to read through your CV.
Yeah, so there's usually two types of CVs when you're applying for jobs. The first one is the ATS one. That's the one used by most big companies out here because of the volume of applications they get. So when it comes to that CV, you need to make sure that it's very short, 2 to 3 pages. Don't have your date of birth or those other personal information on there. Yeah. Don't make it 10 pages, and then also make sure to be as brief in the explanation of your summary, your experiences, and your skills. Yeah. So the other type of CV is a modern CV, the one that people use when you're applying directly to HR. So if you're sending it directly to me on my email or to my WhatsApp or to my DMs on LinkedIn, you need to make sure that it's human likable. So it needs to have like columns, looks really good and appealing. So when it comes to the different types of CVs, you need to make sure you know what is the purpose and where you're going to be using the CV so that you align it to the type of application that you're making. Yeah.
I want us to deal with, probably a classic situation. Here I have a CV that has date of birth, religion, location, district, and I'm fashioning it for a remote job. And you've talked about columns, for example, if I'm dealing with a person directly, if they're offering that job opportunity. But for this specific purpose of a remote job, what do I need to do to that CV?
Okay, so first of all, you need to make sure that it's an ATS-friendly template. No photos, no graphics, no columns, just plain text.
There should be no photo on that CV?
Okay. Nothing. No personal details like your religion, your KCPE results, nothing of that nature. Yeah, it should just be focused on the type of experience that you've had for the last years of experience that you've had, your education, like your degree, your master's, all of that. And then one of the most important things that most people forget is the tools that you can use. So for example, if you're very good at using Word, Excel, presentation, you make sure that you put that down. If you're good at using ChatGPT, if you're good at using Zoom, Teams, you make sure you put that down, because most companies that are looking for remote talent are looking for people who are tech savvy. So you need to make sure that comes out really strongly in your CV. Yeah.
KCP, KCC, not necessary.
Not necessary at all. Yeah.
In the formal, job employment cycle, there's always the emphasis on networking.
Yeah.
Probably I'll give somebody a CV, this is what I've done, and probably help in connecting me with a job. Question is, when it comes to remote jobs, is networking important?
Yeah, for sure it's important. Going to webinars where people are talking about remote opportunities and doing a lot of reaching out to people on LinkedIn who do have these remote jobs or do work at these big tech companies would really help your chances. But I think the most important way of networking when it comes to remote jobs is, because you can't meet these people physically, is showing them a proof of work.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we always talk to any candidate that we're talking to and make sure that they understand, if I'm hiring you from maybe Iran or maybe the UK, I might not even know what Kenya is, right? But if you show me a proof of the work that you've done, if you have a portfolio of the work that you've done with evidence, it's easier for me to believe you because I can see the work that you've done. Yeah, so when it comes to networking for remote jobs, having that proof of evidence of the work that you've done, photos, website evidence, video evidence of the stuff that you do is one of the most important things. Yeah.
You know, I'm just wondering because you remember on the CV you told us no images.
Yeah.
Because it will be picked out by
ATS system.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these photos and this evidence of work I've done, so I'll send them as attachments or what?
No. So when you're applying for jobs, especially remote jobs, they usually ask you for a link to your LinkedIn profile and a link to your portfolio or website. So that's where you're supposed to attach them. So you create or you get someone to create a portfolio for you with the work that you've done. And then now you attach the link to your CV or to the application form when they're looking for
the links can be on the CV?
Yeah, it can be on the CV at the top. Okay. So you have to have the link to your LinkedIn profile and then the link to your portfolio.
All right. Let's take a small breather. And then when we come back, we'll pick up the conversation from there. Okay. I mean, it's quite a scintillating conversation on the remote jobs, the opportunities that exist, but then again, some of the mistakes that you would make and would rule you out of what you've been seeking. You're taking a breather, don't go too far. We're back, you're watching the Sunday Express. Our conversation tonight focuses on remote jobs and strategies which you can use to secure yourself a remote job. Well paying, by the way, according to Brian MWITHI. But of course, we were talking about networking. And you talked about webinars and stuff like that on how you can network. But the question is, over and above things like webinars, is there a way to build a network, you know, any other form of network?
Yeah, I think one of the easiest ways to build a network is just posting content on what you do. So for example, if you're doing HR, you talk about a new system you implemented on LinkedIn and post it, on IG and post it. If you continue doing this on your profile for a while, the right people who want people who do this stuff will notice you and then now reach out to you, and that could be like a really easy way to network. For example, my LinkedIn, I have now 29,000 followers. Yeah. And I've gotten so many gigs, so many clients, and so many people reaching out for me to work with them remotely or help them set up a remote system over the last 2 years, which is really, really crazy and easy, just by posting content on what you do. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a remote job. The interview is remote.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for a remote interview? Yeah.
So it's just normal, like this normal interview. Just the difference is like you need to make sure that your room looks nice. You look nice, obviously. Yeah, you need to make sure the background, because people will judge you on that. If you have like dirty socks behind you or like a messy room, people would definitely judge you. So you need to make sure that your room looks nice, the camera looks nice, and you also need to make sure that you study a lot about the culture of the country that is hiring you. So for example, in US interviews, which I've done a lot of, they focus more on like storytelling. You need to be very, very good at communicating. So if I ask you a question, you need to tell me an answer that is more of a story-based example answer. Whereas in places like Dubai or the United Emirates, they focus more on direct answers. So how do you do this? I do this by doing this, this, and this. But for the States, you have to give a story of how you've done it before. So you need to do a lot of research on how the country you are interviewing for does the interviews. The line of questioning for this potential employer,
is it the same as a physical interview? Because sometimes you introduce yourself to us, then you'll be told, why are you interested in this job? How will you help this company? So in terms of the line of questioning, is it the same as in a remote, in a physical interview?
Yeah, pretty much, almost 100%. The only difference is, apart from the tell me about yourself questions and those are normal questions, they usually ask you like remote-based questions. Like, have you ever worked with a team remotely before? So even if you did during COVID, you need to say yes. During COVID, or if now you're working with a team, maybe someone is in Germany, but you come to the office, but you're working with someone who is in Germany, you need to say yes. We have a team member who's in Germany or US or wherever, and we work with him remotely using this tool, and this tool. But apart from that, every other question is the same. Yeah.
As we wind up, I'm assuming, for example, if you secure a job outside Kenya, and outside the East African region, probably pretty much where we enjoy the same, time zone.
Yeah.
But you get jobs where the time zones are completely different. It alters your life completely. How do you balance the demands of your job and living a healthy life, or a normal life for that matter, without even necessarily suffering a burnout?
Okay, I think that's a really, really good question, because it's something a lot of people who are my clients suffer with for the first few weeks after they get a remote role, specifically in Australia or in the US, because they're almost 10 hours ahead or behind us. Yeah. So what you need to make sure is you notify everyone around you that your system and your time will change, so that if you're having like family or friend engagements, they move around and work around your job. For example, if you're working in the US, you'll be working from, let's say, 6 or 7 or 8 p.m. all the way to 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. sometimes, or even 1 a.m. or something like that. So you need to make sure that you align. If you're going to the gym, or if you have other stuff that you need to do in the day, you align it to your job, and you make sure that people understand that I from 7 to this time I'm not available, so that now they can respect your boundaries. Yeah, but it does take like a few days to adjust, but once you do, it's really easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Brian, for that incisive conversation, and we appreciate you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoy being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Asante sana. Let's move things forward, and of course that's a very incisive conversation, as you've had. And what you really need to do if you're looking for opportunities abroad and working remotely, those are some of the conversations really that you need to have. But most importantly, you can look for Brian MWITHI. You have social media handles?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the name of our company is Careers Without Borders. We help people get remote roles from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, US, UK, anywhere you want. To find us on Facebook, it's Careers Without Borders. On Instagram is Careers Without Borders _. On LinkedIn, it's just Brian MWITHI. And then we also have like a website, www.careerswithoutborders.com.
And you also give them advice on what to do regarding a job opportunity?
We also post the job opportunities that we have, and we also help them understand how to get from where you are right now to a remote role, from the CV to the LinkedIn to the training to the interviewing, everything. Yeah.
And it is possible to work part-time, probably, if you have a formal job back here.
I have a lot of clients who have really good jobs in Kenya, so they just supplement it with 2 to 4 hours a day, and then you get a job where you're getting paid per hour, maybe $20, $30, $40 an hour, and then you just supplement it with your current job. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Brian. Hope to have you again.